Welcome back to the BA Playbook. Today we're talking about the skill that quietly separates average BAs from the ones everyone trusts. Asking better questions than everyone else. Not more questions. Not louder questions. Better ones. Because here's the mad BA truth. Most project problems don't come from bad answers. They come from bad questions. Let's start with the biggest misconception. Good questions are not about intelligence. They're about structure, and the first structure every BA needs is question layering. Great BAs don't stop at surface questions. They move through 3 layers: surface, intent, impact. Surface questions sound like, what do you need? How does this work today? Useful, but incomplete. Intent questions dig deeper. Why is this needed? What problem are we trying to solve? And then comes the most powerful layer, impact. What happens if this doesn't exist? Who is affected if this goes wrong? What breaks if this fails? Each layer removes ambiguity. Most people stop too early. Now let's talk about open versus closed questions and when to use each. Open questions are for exploration. They invite stories, context, and surprises. How do you do this today? What challenges do you face? What's frustrating about the current process? Closed questions are for confirmation. They lock decisions. So the approval happens after validation, correct? This only applies to new policies, yes? The mistake many BAs make is mixing them up. If you ask closed questions too early, you shut discovery down. If you ask open questions too late, you delay decisions. Timing matters. Next, let's talk about a silent project killer, leading questions. Leading questions sound helpful, but they plant assumptions. So users probably want this automated, right? We can assume this only happens once per day. These questions don't discover requirements. They manufacture agreement. Instead, neutral phrasing keeps the door open. How do users handle this today? What options have you considered? What constraints should we be aware of? Which brings us to one of the hardest BA skills: exposing assumptions gently. You don't challenge assumptions by attacking them. You surface them calmly. Try phrases like, let me repeat this to make sure I understand. What are we assuming here? What would change if that assumption isn't true? You're not saying someone is wrong. You're testing reality, and that's a huge difference. Now let's address one of the most common BA frustrations: vague answers. We just need it to be flexible. It should be user-friendly. We want it faster. These are not requirements. They're aspirations. Your job is to turn vague into specific without sounding aggressive. Ask for examples. Can you give me a real scenario? What does faster mean in practice? How would a user know this is better? Examples force clarity, and clarity prevents rework. Now it's time for the mad BA trick that instantly upgrades your questions. Ask this, and then stop talking. What breaks if we don't do this? This question cuts through opinions, preferences, and politics. It reveals real risk, real impact, real priorities. If nothing breaks, it might not be a requirement. If everything breaks, you've found something critical. And here's the final mad BA truth for today. Great BAs aren't interrogators. They're guides. They don't corner people with questions. They lead them toward clarity. So ask less. Ask better. Layer your questions. Expose assumptions gently. Turn vague answers into specifics. Because the quality of your requirements will never be better than the quality of your questions. And now, you know how to ask better questions than everyone else.